Hey everyone, welcome to Smash Trivia. I'm your host, Smash Trivia John. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram by searching Smash Trivia to follow everything happening with me. I'll be the one with the big old green head in the profile picture. I'm so excited to get into this. This is the Gamma Analysis. Basically, in this series, I'm going to review everything Hulk, all the movies and TV shows, and maybe at some point I could get into comics, but that's a while off. Hope you enjoy. Smash Trivia presents the Gamma Analysis. And I want to ask everyone listening if they could please do sign for me. Please share the hell out of this podcast with all your friends, because I really want to get the Gamma Analysis to be big enough that by the time She-Hulk comes out, maybe I could become press and either get the first episode early or be invited to the premiere, or even just get one of the press goodie bags. For this episode, I'm going to review the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk 77, episode 8. Just so you know, this is not a critical podcast, and the majority of my review will be things I liked in it. With that being said, Ed, I have a co-host today, and I do not force my co-hosts to follow the same code of positivity if they don't want to. Our co-host today is Keith, aka KeithSketches, aka Filmkritter with a K. How are you doing, Keith?
I'm doing good, man. I cannot believe how crazy this episode is for so early. So early in a series. Like, I'm like, I didn't think, like, if they were going to come up with some big twist for the end of a season or something, I didn't expect this one. And on top of that, I didn't expect it to come, 3 episodes before the end? 4 episodes before the finale?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
All right, so I have a trivia question for you, as I always do. Which 2 people created the Hulk?
Okay. I would have to guess Dr. Banner and Dr. Baxter. In a way. I mean, there are probably some other people involved, like the guy at the front desk. I'm sure somebody also just like in a strange way ordered them the wrong sandwich that day, and that they changed their brain chemistry to the point where they maybe made a mistake. But yeah, Banner or Baxter. Is it Baxter? I've gotten her name wrong before.
It is.
You forgot her name too, didn't
you? I don't remember. But I was meaning the people who created him as a character.
Oh,
but honestly, honestly, that does technically a work.
Fair enough. I'm not going to get the answer to the other one, so you're just going to have to go with that answer.
Okay. Well, I'll announce the answer later in the episode. I highly recommend watching the episode before listening to this podcast. Because even though I do try to mention every scene that's in the episode, there are sometimes scenes that I miss out on, and also just because this is commentary on the episode, you're going to miss out. You're going to miss out, and it's not going to make a hell of a lot of sense if you haven't seen the episode before you're listening to it. So just want to put that out there before we start our review. And this episode, the podcast that I want to shout out is the Sequel Pitch Podcast. Every episode, they take a movie, they review it, and they make a game where each one of them makes a pitch for a sequel to the film that they were reviewing. And each episode, they have a guest judge come in to decide who has the best sequel pitch. I listened to their episode on the Joker movie, and I really loved it. And I think you all will too if you love my podcast. So, please check them out. And
that sounds awesome. I just followed them on Twitter because you said that, and that game sounds really fun.
Yeah, it was.
And also,
really cool.
I messed up again. Her name is Elena Marks.
Yes.
I keep thinking her name. I don't know why. There's someone else named Baxter in the show.
I think that's the
zoologist
doctor. Yeah, at the zoo.
Fuck. And she's very nice as well. But
yeah, it's probably mainly because they look very similar. Just as every love interest in the show looks very similar.
I think you're really underestimating what the casting agents in 1980s or 1970s were doing when they cast women. They were really there. I think the unfortunately the mold to fit the mold was very much a very close, narrow quota. I don't know the words.
And just as I did last episode, I want to give Keith the chance to talk a bit about his upcoming project. So, let everyone know again about that, Keith. Thank you.
It's called Ordinary Everyday Fools. It is a very limited series at the moment, where me and my co-host Liz will be talking about the National Lampoon's vacation movies and the 5 of those movies that we consider the legitimate 5. So it's going to be the original Vacation movie, 1983. It's going to be Vacation Europe, or also known as European Vacation. The Christmas Vacation movie, which is probably the most popular by far. Everybody seems to tune in for that one. Vegas Vacation, and the reboot. Not really a remake because they do feature Chevy Chase in that.
It is. I would say it's just as much. It could be considered just as much a sequel as any of the other films of the franchise, because it has Chevy Chase and Beverly D'Angelo, I think is
Beverly D'Angelo.
Since I say that mainly because I'm pretty sure every film in the franchise, the kids are played by different actors. So it's so the fact that Randy, I think the star, or if I remember right, of the 2015 one is played by a different actor doesn't make like much of a difference.
Of course. In this one, Randy is played by, wait, is it Randy?
Ed Helms?
Yes, it's Ed Helms.
I think it was Randy.
Or Rusty. It's okay.
I think Randy might be the uncle, maybe.
That is, Randy Quaid plays the Uncle Eddie. Yes, Randy is definitely a name that is associated with the Vacation franchise regardless. But no, Russ and Audrey play the kids, and they have been played by different actors every single movie. So Ed Helms and Leslie Mann play them in the most recent one. And I think by the time 2015 came around, when they decide they're going to do a rebirth of a franchise, they know better than to do a remake. They know there's more money and more solidarity and nostalgia to make it a sequel. So I think they did a really good job, and associating even Beverly D'Angelo and Chevy Chase in the small part they played. I'm very excited to prove to my friend Liz that movie is better than she remembers. So that's a little side plot for our 5-episode arc.
Well, that's gonna be a pretty awesome podcast. So I recommend anyone who's listening to this to check that out when it comes out, and I will definitely be checking it out as well. So this episode that we are reviewing today is titled "The Hulk Breaks Las Vegas," and in this episode, sadly, I don't think we got any kind of last name for David, which is very interesting to me.
I agree. It is very strange that like it became a thing. It became almost like a joke to like track what fake name he was going to give. And when I typed it in, what fake name did I not hear or something? It just this one website that tracks how many Hulk outs there are and what his fake name was said 2 Hulk outs, no alias. And I was like, what? So that was sad.
And also the other episode that I watched this week, the 9th episode, that one also does not have a name.
It's interesting. It's a damn shame they can't think of that many names to start with B.
I would have thought definitely for this episode, like he would have some kind of fake name since he's very much in like he's in a big city, so if anywhere he would want to have a fake identification, you'd want it there versus versus some of the episodes where he's in small towns. It's probably not as important to have them.
Very true. Very true. Well, at the same time, everything that happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. I don't know if you've heard that before.
True.
Have you been to Vegas, Sean?
No, I have not.
I've been once, and it's horrifying. It's terrifying city.
Yeah, I have heard stories.
It'll gobble you up, man. It's funny, much like a 747 in our last episode is the perfect marriage for the biggest hero in the Marvel world. Vegas is the perfect marriage for the most aggressive city with the most aggressive hero.
Definitely.
Yeah. I'm gonna try and find some kind of connection for every single episode with you. Just so you know. Big
all right, sounds good. So we start off the episode with David working as a card shill at a casino in Las Vegas, and he's talking to another employee, a lady who, again, looks like all the previous love interest, and this one actually is a love interest. Is the last one wasn't, but this one definitely is.
Is she? I guess, yeah. You're right.
Though she wasn't in a lot of the episode, actually.
She definitely has been flirting with David for a week, and they definitely, if David had his way and could live his life just not on the run and not looking for a cure, I'm sure he would settle down with, is it Kathy? I think her name's Kathy.
I think that was it. Yeah. The thing is, there have been multiple love interests where you could say that.
Mm-hmm.
The one in New York, you could also say that with. The one at the zoo, you could also say that with. He would happily settle down with them, but he just leaves them.
I think that adds to his tragedy. He's supposed to be a tragic hero, and the sense that he's also a ladies' man. He's very affectionate. He's very charismatic, and he gets along and immediately starts flirting. You see it all through this episode. He's a great flirt. He's not the version of Bruce Banner that we get many other times later on in the Hulk saga. But this David Banner, my goodness, he knows how to wear bell bottoms and get numbers.
Yeah, definitely. So the next thing I have here. Then we see a Wanda, a woman holding an envelope at an airport with two men following her. And I was surprised that we are seeing an airport 2 episodes in a row. That
it's fair. It's you don't want to confuse the episodes, that's for sure.
I just think it's funny. Like I'm noticing with this show, there's a lot of times where they do a lot of similar things again and again.
Well, even the title, The Hulk Breaks Las Vegas. What was the Times Square episode called?
Terror in Times Square.
Terror in Times Square. So he's gonna go to these big metropolises and just wreak havoc. And there's gonna be an episode for any giant city that hasn't been named yet. I'm excited for every one of them, but I feel like they're going to be a little bit recycled after a while.
Yep. I did notice though later in the episode that they definitely were not able to get him actually in Las Vegas like they were able to get him in New York City, because he was definitely green screened in when he was outside.
Which, I mean, I noticed it immediately too. So obviously they didn't do a great job hiding that, but at the same time, hey, I didn't even know they had the ability to do that in 1978 or 79. Like that was good for them, but I was like, yeah, he was actually in Times Square. He wasn't much.
He definitely he was in Times Square. But after she noticed that they were following her, she quickly hid the envelope, went home, and told I'm not sure whether it was supposed to be a boyfriend, fiance, or husband, or what, but this reporter named Ed what happened. and we find out that he's working on this damning story that he needs evidence from that envelope.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
It's nice to see like this. It's nice to see a couple of innocent people mixed up in something suspicious. Of course, it always is the case. Once you see how David's doing, you cut to the suspicion. But it's nice to see this from a couple of heroes' perspective or a couple of innocent people's perspective, instead of just going, okay, here's David, here's the villains.
Yeah, that's like definitely
it's refreshing.
The next thing I wrote down was we find out that they know Jack McGee, and so they call him for help. And Ed goes to meet with the man that he's doing a story on to distract them while Wanda goes to meet Jack. And honestly, I really like how Jack was is brought into this episode out of the story. Mm-hmm. I think that it was a really interesting way, and it makes us be able to get to know him a bit more actually as a character.
And it reminds us, there's this one scene where they're getting, I think David's having lunch with Kathy, and she's looking through the newspaper on her break or whatever. Mm-hmm. And she looked through the newspaper, and she starts talking about this journalist, Jack McGee, who's making these ridiculous claims about a big green man. And he's just like those UFO journalists. And he's so silly. And she says, there's that McGee guy. And he goes, where? And he looks around for a second, and it's just this cheeky reminder that he's always looking over his shoulder for this character. And we haven't seen him in a while.
That scene. And that's actually where the next couple of notes I have we see David taking Kathy out to lunch, and she's definitely another love interest, and but Kathy starts making fun of McGee's Hulk articles, and I found it hilarious when she says that she thinks it's McGee dressing up in a green suit.
Yeah, it's so blurry and so out of focus. You can't. It's probably just McGee in a green suit. That was brilliant. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even though I, as the audience looking at that newspaper, you can tell that even though it's blurry, they definitely did take a picture of Lou Ferrigno to put in there.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, but we know him as iconic Hulk star Lou Ferrigno. Imagine if you didn't know who that was.
Yeah,
could look like a blurry Jack suit.
Well, yeah. So after, that's not where we are. In the same restaurant as David is with Kathy, we see that the owner of the casino is trying to bribe Ed. Ed acts like he's thinking about it, even though he's actually probably not. He may have, but they hit him with a car before we'd actually be able to tell whether he did think much about it.
Mm-hmm. I think he was trying to get more juice. He was trying to get to the meat and potatoes of that conversation. There's a lot of jelly in them donuts. They wanted to get to the incriminating recordings. Yeah,
definitely. But I do think it would have been interesting if there were we did get to see shortly after he leaves, he starts thinking a little bit about whether or not he should take the bribe.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would add a little bit of complexity to it.
I mean, they do leave it kind of ambiguous. I mean, maybe who's
to
say?
I thought it was funny about how just immediately after he leaves the meeting, the casino boss is like, yeah, he's not thinking about it at all. We're going to kill him.
He's like, not a chance. Yeah, he's like, did he take the bait? Not a chance. I remember that moment. That was a shame. And I gotta say, it's a shame that the thug, I think his name is Lee, as much as he doesn't look like Sacha Baron Cohen, and I was very happy to see that they're changing what their thugs look like. I'm very happy to see that. It's a shame he had to witness David taking that recorder with incriminating evidence on it. It's a real shame he just happened to be at the front of the looky-loos looking around and seeing that shit at the actual scene of the incident.
Though I'm pretty sure didn't the guy give David the recording while they were driving?
He
explained
the recording while they were driving, but he handed them the recorder. He was like,
okay.
take it, please. And he's like, what? A recorder? Yes.
All right. Which I actually hadn't noticed during that scene that the thug was there watching them, and I only realized later when the thug came to the hospital.
Yeah.
So the next thing I wrote was that as David rides in the ambulance with Ed, we get to see him use his big doctor's brain, which I really like seeing. And the next thing I wrote was that I find it funny that for a second time in the series, David has to get a recorder to Jack McGee because because in the Guilts, Models, and Murder episode, he also had to do that.
I'd completely forgotten about that.
Yeah. That's what like big reason why it's just like I find it so interesting how it feels like they're reusing a lot of things again and again in the series.
Yeah, I think with the investigative journalism that Jack McGee is supposed to be doing too, it's like he owes David like a piece of his earnings now. He keeps getting all these great stories coming to him delivered on tape recorder. Yeah. But I was amazed that David was charged with basically like the last wishes of a man who didn't know he was going to survive or not, right?
Yeah.
And he says, gotta get this recorded to Jack McGee himself. And what a great twist to bring these two ships in the night that are just constantly passing and missing each other. And it's something that made the episode really unique. Not in, I forgot this. I wrote this before I remembered the fact that he had to give a tape recorder to him earlier. But the fact that he has to it's like, okay, you can't deny this one. You got to really go in there. And what made me laugh is I knew it was a big twist when the show had its first unique commercial break. And right before the commercial break, it was like this reiteration. Okay, you've got to get this tape recorder to Jack McGee. And you hear the voice in David's head, and then he pauses as soon as he's going to go walk toward the place that Jack's staying, there's this freeze frame and this I was like, I haven't seen something like that since Star Trek. That was so good.
Yeah, I thought it was really funny too. I was when I saw that, I was like, wait, they've never done a freeze frame before.
Yeah, it was so dramatic. It sang the song of shows like it around that era. And I remember when I would go and watch original or episodes of the original Star Trek series, every single commercial break was preceded with that kind of moment where they had the suspense just to make sure you tuned in and watched after you saw that commercial about laundry detergent or whatever. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. So when they get to the hospital, the doctor tells David that Ed is in a coma. And then the next thing I wrote was that and there he is, our main man Jack, getting off his plane. And this is where I wrote. I loved how Jack is brought into the story of this episode, which we already mentioned. And so the next thing I have is that one of the casino owner's goons came to the hospital asking about Ed, most likely trying to confirm his kill. And when the goon finds out he's in intensive care and that David probably saved his life, I had wrote at the time, I'm guessing the goon is gonna be going after David now.
Yeah, more than likely. Yeah.
And then see, and here's where you had said of seeing David walking to the building, where I wrote at this point because I at this point it would have surprised the hell out of me if he actually brought the recorder to Jack. I was like, I wrote we see David walking into a building, and it actually seems like he's planning on taking the recorder to Jack McGee.
Well, yeah. Did you hear that dramatic music?
Yeah.
Whatever it was. Yeah, something like that.
And then I wrote just like you about how it's really cool seeing the that freeze frame. And then one of the biggest notes probably of the episode, and maybe of that we've had for this show, where I wrote, "Oh my God, David is actually talking to McGee on the phone," and I love how McGee says, "Who is this? Your voice sounds very familiar."
Yeah.
And
it's like a guy I knew that told me he doesn't like it when I make him angry.
And then and I think that Jack realized it's David, and he tried to catch him. And it almost worked. Worked when he came downstairs. Because David didn't realize for a while that that he had left the room.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he had realized that that it was David?
I don't know if he I think he was suspicious enough, and he's conniving enough to always be thinking of the quickest way to solve a mystery. And he thought, okay, well, this is the surefire way for me to catch the guy, whoever the hell this is, and I'm suspicious enough to go for it. I don't know that he really connected the dots that it was David. But what I noticed, that like what struck me so much in that conversation on the phone is how much I've been goofing on Jack McGee as a character, and acting like he's just an ass that David has to outrun. But he's talking about how Jack's friend, is in critical condition, and I started to feel for Jack. Like the actor playing Jack made me feel for him, and I think that he knocked that scene out of the park. And because you've got to assume Jack has been kind of going mad chasing this ghost all over the country that he can't catch up to. And you kind of see that in the Times Square episode. He's starting to lose it a little bit, just kind of looking out at the city and smoking and just going a little nuts. But everyone's calling him a quack, and he's just lucky he didn't live in the time of Twitter, where he would have been fired by this point. But he gets to Vegas, and where he has some close friends, and his friends in critical condition, and Jack isn't a villain so much. And this scene helps remind us that Jack's not the bad guy. He's just kind of a clown most times, and he has feelings too.
Yeah,
it made me sad, man.
Definitely. He definitely shows probably more emotion in this episode than he has ever before. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. I sided with Jack on several moments in this episode, because it shocked me that he had friends, first of all. But also, like we said, that he looks like Willem Dafoe as well, right? And it's like Dafoe does play villains well, but that mug, that face he has, he's also played really charismatic characters. And it made me really like Jack McGee.
Oh yeah. The next thing I wrote was, we see David back at the casino with Kathy, and he says, I don't know if this is a line just that's that is said when gambling, but he said, "When you're hot, I'm not." I'm not exactly what that even means. I'm not sure what that means.
I mean, when someone's hot and when they say someone's hot in gambling, it just means that they're having a lucky streak. I'm pretty sure. So I would imagine that if someone's having a lucky streak and they're sitting near them, they're not having one. Very few. It's very, very rare that multiple people at a blackjack table are having a good time. It's usually just one person.
Yeah, so that makes sense. And since as he says that, it was when I think he was busting in the in blackjack. The next thing I wrote was that the goon is talking to his boss at the casino about the fact that he knows he's seen David somewhere before. And then right as he's saying that, he noticed that David's sitting at one of the tables.
And the bad guy's like, the big bad is like, Oh, you're telling me he works for us? Well, bring him on over. Yeah, that's that big bad boss gets revealed kind of late, and it's kind of one of the worst ones, I think.
Yeah. So the next thing we have was we see the Jack comforting Wanda at the hospital, and she tells him the key to the evidence is at Ed's desk at home. And like this was definitely one of the scenes where I mentioned earlier, we see so much more emotion from Jack than we've ever seen before. And this was it was a great scene in him comforting Wanda.
Mm-hmm. And it's almost like, okay, what life did Jack have before he was wrapped up in this Hulk story? Like, he's not done this all his life. Obviously, he had a life before this, and maybe he hasn't been around the country to see his friends, his close friends that he used to, because he's been so wrapped up and obsessed with this.
Yeah, definitely. So the next thing I have is that sadly one of the goons has already trashed Ed's house. And we see him call the casino owner on the phone, who we find out that the casino owner has David with him now. And the casino owner starts trying to interrogate David to find out what Ed gave him. And David tells him, but then acts like he forgot Jack's last name. And the casino owner really does not like that. One of the goons pats David down and finds a piece of paper with McGee's his name on it and locker 14. You gotta wonder if David didn't think they would pat him down and find that note.
Well, some bad guys are stupid. Some heroes can be too.
Definitely.
Not everybody has that extra pocket in their pants that nobody knows about.
Mhm.
You know the one.
Oh yes.
I don't mean the middle one.
So that's down was so the casino owner has goons start looking for the locker at both the hotel and the airport, and the casino owner says that he'll deal with David and Wanda himself. And David tries to escape, but the casino owner attacks him. And I would say this is the first time that we are seeing David actually fighting, but he doesn't fight. He just gets pummeled until the Hulk comes out.
He gets thrown down the stairs, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I was very
He didn't
surprised
even
to see.
try.
I was shocked to see the casino owner be that physical. Like he was the
I kind of feel like even though I don't think they intended for this, because like the maker of the series, he intentionally tried to make it so it's not like the comics for some reason, but I definitely could see parallels of the casino owner with Kingpin.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And I think that
he's a guy 10 steps ahead of other people and
felt like that
shots.
when he was beating up David.
Mm-hmm. For sure. He's a big lumbering guy. And I mean, he's no Vincent D'Onofrio, but my goodness, I see early versions of a mob boss or a crime boss that is not unwilling to take care of the physical shit himself. And I think that's rare, but when it does happen, it's very reminiscent of Kingpin for sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And the next thing we have is that I like how this time when Hulk comes out, though we don't get to see his transformation, which as you know I really like seeing the transformations, but I did like this one because it kind of felt like there was a bit of suspense with the fact that we don't see him transform, but we see Hulk come out from around that corner.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool, seeing having that little suspense in there.
That felt straight out of a horror movie. Like they were really like elongating that reveal. We all knew it was coming. Anybody who in the 70s would have watched this episode should have known what was coming. Definitely. But at the same time, he's coming out of the shadows of some stairs. It was a cool new way to reveal that he was going to come up and fuck this guy up. Am I allowed to swear? Yeah. Am I allowed to swear in this?
Yes, you're definitely allowed to swear.
Just checking. I gotta ask every 5 episodes just to make sure. Sometimes I forget whether or not I'm allowed to cuss. That's fine.
Yeah, I don't care, but you can curse as much as you want.
This ain't your mama's Hulk, Incredible Hulk 1970s podcast. Yeah.
So the next thing I have was that the Hulk comes upstairs and he slides the casino owner across the room and then just casually walks back downstairs. He's I don't have to deal with this much more. That was enough. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. I think a part of him thinks, "Oh, I was a hostage a second ago, as far as I can remember, and now I'm on the loose. I get to run away." Is that the same guy in the cowboy hat as on the plane though? He runs by a cowboy hat, another cowboy playing craps, and it's a pretty hilarious moment. The guy's like, all the craps table goes flying, and he's like, "Is everybody paying attention? I got double four," and it's like, shoot. And he just like,
yeah,
it looked like the same cowboy.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I love that scene. So I think I wrote a little bit before that. So Hawk scares a bunch of performers as he runs through, and one of them asks, "Who's he?" I don't know why, but I really liked how they said that in the scene. I thought it was kind of funny. And then we see Hulk breaking through the craps table like it's paper. And I love how Hulk tosses these two guys out of the way, and they go barreling over a table and a balcony. Did you notice that?
I did not. They went that far?
Yeah, they.
I'm actually looking at it right now. He goes through the craps table like it's just a tablecloth and nothing else. And then he throws these two guys behind him, and they go fly. Oh my god! Yeah, they go flying over. I think it's maybe like a three-step rise. They go flying over a table and then over a railing.
I just thought that was really funny. Like I love the idea. I love when Hulk throws people over something and then they just start barreling. I love the idea of people barreling after Hulk throws them.
I was like, that's the key. Like that's the number one stunt man. You ask any stunt man, he's gonna be like, you're gonna want to barrel. Start barreling right away. Especially if some Hulk's gonna throw you. Just makes me think of Brad Pitt's character in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Such a good character.
Oh man. And then we see another two people. These are ones that Hulk doesn't do anything to them, but they just see him and they're trying to get away. So they just climb over the ledge of the escalator and just start sliding down the middle of it.
Well, I mean, everybody's got their technique for getting away from the Hulk. Makes perfect sense. I've always wanted to do that anyway. So I'd be sitting there going years and years of just wanting to slide down the middle of an escalator. And if the Hulk was running up at me, I'd be like, this is my chance. And I just go for it and just slide down. But they put little bumps for you to hit your ass or your cojones. I see the moment you're talking about. This couple, this man throws his girlfriend over, and they both just start falling.
I probably would love sliding that too. Probably
I bet they. Sorry, go ahead.
Probably would love that much more than actually just walking down the an escalator, just because I have a fear of escalators.
Fair enough.
So whenever I get on an escalator, like I just immediately feel massive amounts of anxiety. I know it's like I know that there's no good reason for it, but because they are definitely safe machines, but I don't know why it just is like, oh my god, whenever I'm on them.
Is it that you've heard horror stories of bad escalator stories or something, or like shoelaces or something being caught?
I know. I just like it freaks me out being on them, and like I feel like something bad's gonna happen. I haven't heard many stories of bad things happening, but yeah, there was. I did find out though that the day before I was born, my mom, she was on an escalator, and and because the escalator wasn't working at the time, she got tired and just sat down for like an hour or something. So I'm wondering if somehow that has to do with it, of the fact that just a day before I was born, there was something happened with an escalator.
Yep. That sounds like it's everything that had to do with it. Yep. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That there was even a story told in your family where she just sat down on one. It was like, nope.
Yeah, because she was just tired. She got tired.
Fair.
Which makes sense.
And it's interesting
climbing
because
up a massive amount of stairs, being pregnant, or literally almost in labor, pregnant can't be fun.
And these are stairs that move for you.
They're supposed to, but they weren't working at the time.
That's true. So she was pissed off
or dead. Yeah.
She's like, man, this escalator is not doing for me what I expected, and I'm mad. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. I'd be pissed too.
And the next thing that I wrote down was like you actually already mentioned of we see this guy in a cowboy hat checking the floor to see if he's won. He did, but no one's paying attention.
I would love, and it wouldn't be like if it was the MCU, that'd be the same cowboy as the 747 episode. 100%.
Is this the first time they've ever done a cutaway gag?
What do you mean?
I feel like that's considered a cutaway a gag because like they cut away from the story to go back to this guy.
Certainly, yes. It definitely is a cutaway gag. You're not wrong about that.
I'm wondering if this is the first. I don't seem to remember them. I never doing that on this show before, and I think that's kind of cool.
It's very likely that It's very likely that this is the first of many, and I'm excited for the next one.
Hopefully, it's the first of many, because I love cutaway gags. So the next thing I wrote was I guess they can get Hulk on location in New York City, but not Las Vegas, because as we see Hulk running outside, it's clearly green screened. And
it's a little obvious. Yeah.
And then the next thing I wrote was I'm starting to notice that Hulk really likes sitting on stairs when he turns back into Banner.
100% right. I remember that even from the final round. Is the final round episode? Yeah.
Round.
Oh my god, he goes to an alleyway and sits on some stairs. It's the first thing I thought of when I saw this. Yeah.
I think also he may have in the New York City episode as well.
Definitely. He's definitely done this at least 5 times.
Was the New York City episode the one where he got hit in the leg with the forklift? Or was that the final round episode?
Oh, I'm not sure.
It was one of them.
One of those two, yes. He had to rest. He had to sit down for a second. I mean, you're right. In the hull, in the episode of the 747 tonight, we recorded the last episode.
So he was sitting on the stairs again.
Stairs. Yeah. Which is interesting because if you really analyze it, the progression from David to Hulk is a height
So
thing.
I'm thinking that the reason he does that is because when as the first time that Hulk came out, Dr. Elena had him sit on that couch when he turned back.
Yeah, you think
I'm
that it was like
guessing
a little conditioned thing in his brain to just sit down, calm down,
yeah, I'm guessing that's what it is.
or like I think you're onto something.
So the next thing I wrote was so the cops are out looking to try and find the Hulk, but when they get to the alley, he's already reverted back to Banner, and they ask David if he's been sober enough to see anything the last half an hour, and David says he's not sure. And I like this idea of him blaming not remembering on being drunk, even though he wasn't drunk.
Yeah, I mean, Vegas is one of the few places that people are so drunk that there's famously oxygen vans, and they'll bring around and make sure that they sober people up so they can go back to gambling. It's crazy.
Yeah, definitely.
Crazy.
So
Continue.
next thing I have was that Jack and Wanda get to Ed's house and they find it trashed from the goon who was there earlier. But happily, because the goon was awful at trashing the place, Wanda is able to get the key. I think it's hilariously bad. One of the main reasons that the goon should be there trying to find stuff is find this the evidence. They didn't think finding a key would be mean anything, so they did either that or they actually didn't see the key, which you definitely did you're really bad at trashing a place if you don't think to look under a piece of paper or something that the key was under.
I'm looking at the moment right now, and it really is just under a book. And this guy was like throwing lamps across the damn room, and yet somehow he didn't just lift a book. Yeah, find that damn key. 14.
Well,
piece of cake.
He wasn't looking for a key actually at the time. He was looking for the evidence, and because they didn't know that it was in his site. But still, I feel like you would look under every surface is for any single thing that could be incriminating. And if you see a key, you think you should probably think something of it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're onto something there for sure.
We see David at a mechanic shop, and we hear the mechanic say these funny lines of "Come on, you little turkey," and I've heard of guys losing their shirts, but that's ridiculous.
It goes back to the cab driver in New York. Yeah, don't lose your shirt. Keep your shirt on.
I think this is one of the first times where we actually see how David got a new shirt after hulking out.
So true.
And I love that they're being very meta about it with these jokes about him losing his shirt again and again.
Yeah, I mean, they can't just ignore it for like what we're in 8 episodes now, and he can't keep wearing the same one. And how the hell did he even get that second shirt on the airplane? Like, there's so many unanswered questions when it comes to shirts, especially.
I'm guessing with the airplane, he just stole it out of someone's suitcase.
Yes, that does make sense. That's a really easy solution. You're right. Never mind.
So we see Wanda refusing to get out of town, even though Jack doesn't think she's safe. But he reluctantly leaves without her. But first, he kisses her on the cheek, which I found really weird. Did you did it
Well,
seem weird to you at all?
not so much. I mean, we have yet to really understand their relationship and even her relationship to Ed. I mean, if he's concerned and walking away to maybe his death, like I think that it was a more common thing in those days to kiss a friend on the cheek even than to be romantic. And you know what? Maybe he did have a romantic interest in her, and that's the closest he felt he could go. And the furthest he felt he could go to express that goodbye, because he really doesn't want any harm to come to her, and he doesn't know if he's going to live. So I don't know.
That makes sense.
I watch a lot of old movies, and when it comes to cheek kissing, it's not nearly as weird back then, but it would be weird in a film or show now, I think.
Yeah, because it'd be like, why did you just kiss your friend's girlfriend?
Yeah, exactly.
So the next thing I wrote was said David calls Wanda to warn Jack that he's in danger, but he's too late because Jack is already on the way to the airport locker where there are two goons waiting. And David has her try to call airport security, but before she has the chance to call them, the casino owner appears behind her. It's like, I guess it wasn't enough for him to turn away, having this freakishly large being throw him across the room.
Yeah, it's very amazing to me how persistent a lot of the people are that face the Hulk already, and they don't take the hint that, hey, he might be a player later in the scenario.
Yeah, it reminds me of in the final round episode when Hulk lands in the ring, and the other the boxer who's in there, even though he sees this guy is absolutely giant, he still is like, I'm gonna fight you. I'm gonna fight you.
Yeah. I had the same feeling later, and I'll get to it when we get to the later moment, but I'll explain in a minute.
Also, the next thing I have was I really like that David is willing to put himself in danger of being seen by McGee to save McGee's life.
Yes, 100%. He gets so close to a moment where he could just end up blowing his cover, blowing the whole thing, and never really being able to escape or continue running ever again, just to save McGee. And it's a touching thing to think about.
Definitely. So the next time I find it funny how they reuse the same stock footage of a Las Vegas street multiple times within and I think multiple times in like the same 5-minute span of the nighttime of this Las Vegas street. Like it's literally the same shot of stock footage like twice.
Yeah. And I feel like that like if they were shooting, they're trying to like make you feel like you're in Vegas without maybe being in Vegas. Maybe they're in a studio, whatever. They're like, oh, well, these streets that we're allowed to shoot in don't really scream Vegas, We gotta show some more recognizable lights or some more like stereotypical background stuff. So they just keep using the same thing.
Yep. So the next thing I wrote was that I love how there's so much suspense as Jack walks through the airport and David runs through the airport.
Yeah. It's a recurring theme where David is always trying to catch up to the drama at hand. It's the same. It's almost identical to the Times Square episode where he's trying to get there quicker than anybody else can before any drama can happen. Definitely. And he's always 10 steps behind, which is a shame. But and it's a shame that he can't turn into the Hulk and just run green screen or more. Just
Yeah.
But yeah.
So the goons capture both David and McGee, and I wrote, "Holy shit! They put them both in the back of a car together. Like McGee is knocked out, but still, holy shit!"
Did that moment before they revealed that McGee was knocked out, did that not send chills up your spine?
Oh
Because
god, yeah.
they sit David in the back. They're like, "Oh, he's in the back of this car too. Oh, okay, let's put you in here with your friend." And they shove him in there, and then it's just the camera's on David, and he's slowly looking over at McGee, and he's like, "Oh shit, he's gonna realize I'm alive. I've got a lot of explaining to do." And he looks at finally the camera shows the reverse shot, and it's knocked out McGee. I thought there was gonna be like a bag over his head or something.
Yeah, I'm surprised there wasn't.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Knocked out makes sense. I mean, that's a close second. That works.
uh, yeah, like still, like it's that's such a big scene than being in
Yeah.
a car together. They
went to great lengths to make sure that Jack never sees that David Banner is alive.
Yeah.
And I appreciate how much they played with that suspense. That was a lot of fun.
Definitely. So the nice thing I had was that they take them to a landfill, and man, this landfill looks so fake. Like you can definitely tell that they did this in a studio. Just simply from how the light works in the background.
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't far from a time when a lot of movie scenes that had to take place outdoors at night, they'd shoot them in the daytime, and then they'd take that footage and crank the exposure way down so that it looked like you could see how weird it looked. Like there'd be like horizon lines and stuff that looked a little off, but like it was very hard to shoot at night. So anything that took place at nighttime outdoors in a huge expansive area had to be shot in the studio. Yeah. So, it shows.
It definitely shows. So they throw them in a pit, and just as McGee is about to wake up and see David, they drop a bunch of dirt on them.
It was a really nice job of the goons to do that. It was very kind of them to help hide David Banner's identity from McGee.
Yeah, really kind of them. So right after the casino owner arrives with Wanda, David hulks out, and I really liked how when he hulks out, Hulk's hands just start raising out of the dirt as if he's a zombie. I thought that was really cool.
Very effective. Do hands first. My favorite was when he stood fully upright and the sand was pouring off of him. He decided to then in that moment just take that shirt, or what was left of that shredded shirt, just toss it off. I was like, yes, enough of the freaking shredded shirts. I hate when he wears them like an old lady shawl. Like when he's like trying to fight villains and he's still got a poncho on. Like just take the damn shredded shirt and throw it away. I was very happy.
Yeah. And the next thing I wrote was that Hulk starts flexing his muscles for a minute while McGee wakes up and sees him. And then I wrote, hell yeah, Hulk both picks up McGee to save him, but then also does that. We haven't seen him do much in the show, but I don't even remember if we have seen him do it all before, but he does a Hulk jump.
Yes.
And that was so cool seeing him do a Hulk jump up in the show.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. You don't see a lot of Hulk jumps, and we see a bit of a Hulk jump down at the end, but this is the first like big Hulk up, which is sweet. And I just looked at it as like this is the moment I was talking about earlier when I was saying like henchmen so easily seem to be okay with being instructed to go at a guy Lou Ferrigno's size. Forget the fact that he's green forget the fact that he's snarling and doesn't seem to know how to reason with humans. But there's just someone Lou Ferrigno's size. If my boss said, "Get him," I'd be like that dude from Iron Man 3, where I'd be like, I'd put down my gun. I'd be like, I hate working here. These people are so weird. And I'd be running in another direction. That it's so funny to me when he's just like, Lee, get him. Charlie, get him. Whoever, get him. And they're just like, okay. And then it's like, are you not scared of this giant snarling man? The guy's he's huge. He just flexed all his muscles.
Yeah.
Like, that would terrify me. I'd never go near him.
I love how throughout the show, like, you keep seeing that Hulk just flexes his muscles, and also it's like a victory kind of thing, of like, yeah, I did this.
It's a big moment. Yeah. Like, he's celebrating something before it happens. He's like, oh, I turned into him. Oh, good. It's like, okay, well, just do that same thing at the end when everybody's safe and you've won the day.
And the next thing I wrote was damn Hulk kick. And Hulk threw that goon pretty far. And I love that Hulk breaks off the front of the bulldozer, and then he knocks the rest of it over.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not sure what this machinery is, but I know this part comes off easy, and the rest of it, I'm pretty sure. Okay, I'm not going to keep pulling this apart. Let me make this quicker. And he just, he just bench presses it, and then he flexes afterwards. He's just like, I did it. I know how to push up a bulldozer. I can't.
Yeah, Yeah, I love it.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this whole time he's face to face with Jack, and Jack's so scared of him at first, but then he just like yeets him to safety.
Yeah.
And then Jack's like, oh, he's not interested in killing. He's helping. He's a hero.
So McGee tries to talk to Hulk, and though Hulk obviously can't talk back, this is a really cool scene, seeing him like actually trying to talk to Hulk.
Yep.
100%. And I wrote, the mean casino owner shot Hulk, so Hulk threw a rock at him, which scared Hulk into running away before McGee could see him turn back into Banner. But it was close. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a close call, really, and that put. I bet you in the day that this episode premiered, people were on the edge of their fucking couches, just going like, "Oh my god, he's gonna like something's happening to his face," and then all of a sudden he gets shot and he runs away, and it's all lost. Like, that suspense that's perfect TV, John. It's perfect TV.
Definitely.
I love it.
So. The final scene of the episode, David, he leaves as he always does, but not before playing one last slots game with Kathy. Sadly, he doesn't win though.
Of course.
So
of course they couldn't have, couldn't have the tragic hero win a slots game. That would show he had luck on his side.
Yeah. So
just saying.
So this episode, I think this episode was really good. I love how David almost got caught by McGee multiple times, and holy shit, I had a lot of notes for this episode. And I think this is one of the best episodes yet. What would be your final thoughts on the episode?
Well, to me, the big thing, and we kind of teased this at the beginning, is that the fact that they threw in the idea of not only has Jack McGee come this close, but he's also seen the Hulk, been saved by the Hulk, tried to reason with the Hulk. He's not scared of him, and he sees him being a hero, and so that completely recontextualizes the Hulk in Jack McGee's brain. At least I hope to no longer look at him as a menace and a monster and a UFO kind of like big titillating article that he could write, but maybe trying to understand him better. I'm very eager to see how this changes the dynamic between Jack going forward. I want to see Jack changing how he pursues. I want him to pursue him still. I really do. I don't want him to just leave him alone. That would be different. I can't see him doing that, but there's way more to the story now. So I could, yeah. So my final thoughts are that, and this episode, like after that month-long break that we took, it's like I have missed this show, and I'm so glad that you've gotten me into it, John. And it's a welcome assignment, and I it's an awesome look back at television, which I'm obsessed with, and I'm so glad that you wanted to do this with me, and I thank you very much for bringing me on.
And I'm forever thankful for you being willing to come on and do this with me. Because I really enjoyed doing this with you. I really enjoy talking to you.
Same, man. Same.
You've been you have been like one of the most helpful people to me in my entire life. So it's
thank you. I'm so glad to hear that.
It's not nice. So I actually couldn't find any interesting trivia from this episode.
It's too good an episode. All the trivia is just laid out.
But I did find a thing for the goof section on IMDb. So after Hulk destroys the craps table, the gambler finds the dice on the floor to see a 3 and a 4, claiming to have won. The next shot showing where that shows he's still exclaiming he won, although the dice now read 3 and 5 instead of 3 and 4.
Hulk played a hand in his craps game.
Yeah. And all right, so the answers to the trivia question from earlier was writer being Stan Lee and the artist being Jack Kirby.
You know what? Of my very limited knowledge, and what's silly is that I draw. I'm an artist, and I took a lot of inspiration from comic books growing up. The fact that I didn't just leap to those two names that I could easily have named of Marvel's empire, Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, and I didn't do that, it's bothering the shit out of me. I guess I went for comedy. Hope it was worth it.
Yeah, it's definitely great. All right, so is there any final thoughts you'd like to say before we end off the episode?
Other than the fact that you're right, this is the best episode I think what you're saying is this is the best episode we've reviewed. Would you agree? That's my question to you.
I still don't know whether this is
I have yet to watch the next.
Is as good as the first episode of the show or not, or still, but it is definitely really high up there.
I mean, without the first episode, we wouldn't have the tingling feelings that we're having about this one.
Yeah.
So they are in tandem. They are parallel.
And the biggest reason why I love the first episode the best is just like that episode is very much reliant on the science of it all versus a lot of the rest of the series. They don't go into a lot of science.
True. It held our interest. It held my interest to watch because it was movie length.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was non-Hulk. And it really delved into the science of it and the idea before Hulk even emerged. And yet, every episode since then has been a very formulaic version of, okay, there's a problem he has to solve, strangers he has to meet, we have to meet them, we have to see the problem, then he has to Hulk out and solve it. And so there's so much formula, same thing, different day. And then we get this episode with Jack McGee where he's woven back into it in a way that makes us care about him. I didn't see that one coming so early because we're not at the finale of season 1.
Yeah, no, we aren't.
I would have guessed that kind of shit would have been saved for the finale. I'm surprised.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So Thank you for listening. And if you like this gamma analysis, please give a 5-star review. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the episode, so please let me know. And if you'd like to hear from more or from me, please subscribe. And many more gamma analysis is coming from me, so keep on the lookout. This again is your host, Smash Trivia John, signing off.